All right, so this series of testing, we've set the capture rate to 20. That will give us about 5 seconds worth of recorded movement. What you want to make sure is that you set the capture rate as low as possible to get the most granular results you can, but not too low that you're going to miss part of the movement you want to capture. So if we're doing something like lifting up and having a shot, you want to make sure that you're doing that full movement within 5 seconds. Have a little bit of delay at the start to give you a bit of buffer as well, but you want to make sure that you complete that within the 5-second period as much as possible. So I'll do that. We'll have a look at some results. For the next shot, we're going to do the similar movement, but I'm going to cant it a little bit as I move it up and give it a bit of a wiggle to see what that looks like in the results. For the next 2 shots, I'm going to do 2 shots next to each other really, really quickly, which means the second shot won't be able to capture 5 seconds of data because there won't be 5 seconds between the shots. Again, let's have a look to see what actually happens on the results and the graphs and to see what we can see there. All right, so let's see what the results tell us. All right, so let's have a look at the first 2 shots. This is where we lifted it up, held it steady, released the shot. We can see in the second one, when we canted left and right, we can see that that was the smooth canting movement. And then we did a bit of a wiggle there. You can have a look there. Again, we can click on the little axis here to remove that. And you can see which shot it was. Yes, it was the second shot. So we could see that second shot, yep, did some canting, did some wiggle, and we can see that in the results. First one was 124 versus the next shot was 2450. Massive, massive difference. What did we do there? What happened there? And we can see on the y-axis, we can see that we're slowly lifting it up. And again, you can see that there's a little bit of a difference when we were doing that canting movement. So again, if that's 5 seconds, we could see that at the 1 second mark, we were doing something odd. And at the 2 second mark, again, we were doing something odd. So you can see that you did something different. You also now know when that was actually occurring. What were you doing and when? On the z-axis, we could see a little bit of movement difference, not too much. So let's have a look at the third and the fourth shots. This is when we did 2 shots very close back to back. Okay, comparing the third and the fourth shot. Firstly, let's have a look at the scores. And we can see that the second one, we had a score of about 3680 versus 6862. So the score is going to be a lot higher because there's a lot more movement. There's a lot more motion that's happening versus that previous bit where we were just holding. And we could see X, we're a lot better than the first one. Y, somewhat similar. And on the Z was a lot better as well. So here we can see, we reset the zoom. That second shot, we didn't have enough data. You can see that we've got basically 1/3 of a second worth of data. We had a lot of movement as we racked it, loaded it, and shot. And again, the same thing there. But we just simply don't have anywhere enough data for the second shot. So why do we get the score that we get with that second shot? If you don't have enough data points to fill out the full time period, the full 500, it will average the score for that period and project it. So again, if you start your movement being nice and still and you've got some extra data points, don't worry, it's going to average everything out if you don't have enough data points there. So if you set a little bit higher than what you need, you're not going to get really odd results or dud results because you missed some data there. So that's setting it to 5 seconds. We'll set it a lot longer to see what we can get some data there now as well.